Chicago, 1912, the National Negro Business League Convention. For 2 full days, a woman has been requesting time to speak from the stage. For 2 full days, the most influential black leader in America, Booker T. Washington himself, has looked right past her. Banker after banker gets the podium. Businessman after businessman. Her, never. On the third day, she doesn't wait to be called. She rises from her seat on the convention floor in front of the entire room and starts speaking anyway. Why was the most successful businesswoman in the country being ignored at a business convention? And what did she say in that room that changed everything? Hold on to that because we're coming back to it. This is the story of Madam C.J. Walker, recognized as the first self-made female millionaire in American history. She started with $1.05 in savings, an eighth-grade education she never received, and a problem she discovered in her own mirror. And a single decision that built her fortune, the one almost every business gets backwards, is waiting near the end of this story. It begins about as low as American life could begin. Sarah Breedlove was born 2 days before Christmas, 1867, in a one-room cabin on a Louisiana cotton plantation. Her parents had been enslaved on that very land. Sarah was their first child born free, which sounds like a fresh start until you see what freedom looked like. By age 7, both her parents were dead. By 10, she was working as a domestic servant. She married at 14, mostly to escape a harsh household, became a mother at 17, and a widow at 20, alone with a 2-year-old daughter. So she did what survival demanded. She moved to St. Louis and became a washerwoman, scrubbing other people's laundry over a boiling tub. The pay was about $1.50 a day. She would do that work for nearly 18 years. 18 years. Let that settle. Most overnight success stories skip the part where nothing happens for 2 decades. But something was happening. In the 1890s, Sarah noticed her hair was falling out. Stress, harsh soaps, scalp disease, the brutal hygiene conditions of the era. It was a common affliction, and for the women around her, it carried real shame. Sarah looked into her mirror and saw what most people see when they look at their biggest frustration, a problem. What she eventually realized was that she was also looking at a market. Because if this was her mirror, it was a million other mirrors too. So she started studying. She took a job selling hair products for another entrepreneur and learned the trade from the inside, the ingredients, the customers, the conversations. She experimented with her own formulas in wash basins after long days over the laundry tub. And in 1905, at 37 years old, an age where the world had long since decided what she was, she packed up and moved to Denver to start fresh. Total life savings, $1.05. There, she perfected her own treatment, married a newspaperman named Charles Joseph Walker, and rebranded herself with a name that sounded like an institution, Madam C.J. Walker. The product worked. Her own restored hair was the walking proof, and she sold it the hardest way there is, door to door, demonstration by demonstration, church basement by church basement. Sales grew, but here is where Sarah Breedlove separated herself from every peddler with a decent product. And this is the decision the whole fortune turned on. She stopped trying to be her company's best salesperson and started manufacturing salespeople. She began recruiting and training other black women as licensed Walker agents, complete with training programs, uniforms, standards, and a generous commission structure. Women who had been earning $1 or $2 a day as laundresses and maids could suddenly earn several times that, running their own micro business under her brand. She wasn't just selling hair care anymore. She was selling transformation, and her customers could literally see it walking through their neighborhoods, dressed sharp, earning well, standing tall. Every agent was an advertisement. Every success story recruited the next agent. The business stopped growing through her effort and started growing through her system. At its height, the sales force numbered in the tens of thousands. By 1910, she had built her own factory in Indianapolis in her own land with her own money, which brings us back to that convention floor in Chicago, 1912. The woman standing up uninvited was Madam C.J. Walker, and as Booker T. Washington looked on, she addressed the room. I am a woman who came from the cotton fields of the South. From there, I was promoted to the washtub. From there, I was promoted to the cook kitchen. And from there, I promoted myself into the business of manufacturing hair goods and preparations. I have built my own factory on my own ground. I promoted myself, not I was discovered, not someone gave me a chance. The room had refused her stage, so she made the floor into one. And the man who ignored her for 2 days, the following year, Booker T. Washington invited her back as an honored speaker. She went on to build a mansion on the Hudson River, designed by one of the first licensed black architects of New York, neighboring the estates of the Rockefellers. She gave enormous sums to schools, scholarships, and causes, and when she died in 1919, she was, by every account, the wealthiest self-made woman in America. Her own summary of the whole journey was one sentence: I got my start by giving myself a start. A washerwoman, 18 years at the tub, a problem in the mirror, and a refusal at every single step to wait for an invitation. So here's the question this story leaves on your doorstep. Most of us are waiting for some version of the stage, the right contact, the right capital, the right moment, somebody important finally calling our name. Sarah Breedlove waited 18 years before she understood that nobody was coming, and that this was actually good news because it meant the timeline was hers. What's the stage you've been waiting to be invited onto? And what would that look like this week to stand up from the floor and start speaking anyway?